The wall in 2010, prominent Democrats all around the country are running scared. Now, in a span of only 24 hours, two surprising and devastating blows were delivered to the Democrats' supermajority in the United States Senate. Now, first, the news came from North Dakota that longtime Senator Byron Dorgan would not seek re-election, and then word began circulating late last night that Senator Chris Dodd, the powerful chair of the Senate's Banking Committee, would also be announcing his decision to call it quits after more than 30 years in Congress. And here's what Countrywide Mortgage's favorite senator told reporters earlier today.
That in the long sweep of American history, there are moments for each elected public official to step aside and let someone else step up. This is my moment to step aside.
All right, now, veteran senators like Dodd and Dorgan aren't the only ones to fall victim to this backlash against President Obama's failures during his first year in office. Some of the Democratic Party's rising stars, they are also throwing in the towel. Colorado Governor Bill Ritter confirmed today that he is ending his bid for re-election. And the left is now also scrambling in Michigan after Lieutenant Governor John Cherry informed the party that he would be dropping out of the race for governor in that state. And here to tell us what all these Democrats and how they're running scared is the former Speaker of the House, Fox News contributor, Newt Gingrich. And by the way, Newt has a free online newsletter. That's right, free. You can sign up at newt.org. Mr. Speaker, Happy New Year.
Good to be with you. Happy New Year.
All right, let me start with Dorgan, Dodd, Ritter, Cherry. Are they abandoning ship? Do they see a seismic change shift in the election coming? Are they scared they're going to lose?
You know, Dorgan is the one that doesn't quite fit that, because I think most people believed he'd get reelected in North Dakota. Dodd clearly was very, very badly damaged. Ritter had become pretty much in trouble. In Michigan, I think Pete Hoekstra is putting together such a good campaign and has gotten such a boost out of having been Intelligence Committee chairman now with the attempted attack on Detroit, that Pete really is becoming a dominant figure in the state. I think that was part of why Lieutenant Governor Cherry probably dropped out. He's faced with a president who clearly couldn't have defended Detroit. We were lucky that the terrorist didn't know how to set off the bomb, or we would have had a huge disaster. So I think you're seeing a general decay when you take Michigan, North Dakota, Connecticut, Colorado. And then you had, of course, over the Christmas break, an Alabama Democrat became Republican. You see a growing pattern developing that has to mean that John Boehner, for example, feels pretty encouraged that he might become the Speaker of the House after this election.
And do you think that's possible?
Well, I think you have to go down state by state. But yeah, I would say that Mitch McConnell has a slightly higher mountain to climb, although it's getting better every week in the Senate. And I would say that in the House, the odds are at worst 1 in 3. I was swapping notes today with Governor Haley Barbour, who, you'll remember, Sean, was the Republican National Committee chairman back in 1994. He said to me that he thought that the environment today was substantially better for Republicans than it was in January of 1994, and that he believes we have a very real chance of electing John Boehner Speaker of the House. So, yeah, I think there's it's not done yet. It's a long way from here to November. But I would say that the cost of the various left-wing policies, starting with the grotesque health bills in the House and Senate, the giant energy tax passed by the House, the terribly weak policies on terrorism, the huge deficits, all those things are coming together in a way, combined with 10% unemployment, that I think the Democrats have got to carry a pretty big burden going into the election.
Is it arrogance, or is it they're tone deaf? I mean, because, you know, even with every poll showing by double digits, Americans don't want this national health care plan. They force it through. They use a system of taxpayer dollars to bribe senators for their votes because they can't get them otherwise. Their poll numbers are in the tank. The president's, Nancy Pelosi's, Harry Reid's, that none of them are doing well. And so I guess the question I have is, you know, why aren't they getting the message from the public, or are they just ignoring it?
Well, look, I think there are at least two things going on here. One is you have a secular socialist ideology which understands that this may be its best chance for a generation to impose on America a big government, big bureaucracy, high tax Washington solution. And so they're willing to gamble virtually anything. This is their best chance since Lyndon Johnson with the Great Society in 1965. Second, you have this, we've never before seen a Chicago machine in the White House. The ruthlessness, the willingness to bribe senators, the fundamental dishonesty of the system. You know, the number one item on Drudge today was 8 different videos of candidate Obama pledging to have C-SPAN in the room for negotiations 8 different times.
Now, by the way,
and people look at that level of dishonesty, and I think it tells you this is a ruthless machine that doesn't care what it says. It cares what it can get away with.
Well, first of all, we're going to show that video in our very next segment. So great minds think alike. And when I saw that today, I said, I only found 4 of them. 8 of them. It's entertaining if it weren't so serious. But for the president to, you know, break that promise, it seems like he risked all his credibility, because it seems meaningless. His words, you know, ring hollow.
Well, at healthtransformation.net, we're just posting a YouTube video to launch a letter that we're asking people to come to healthtransformation.net and sign, asking the president to keep his word and to allow Brian Lamb and C-SPAN to cover the entire negotiation as they've offered to. But second, you know, what I'm struck with, this reminds me a little bit of 1990, when I think the people around President George H.W. Bush had no idea the damage that breaking his read my lips, no new taxes pledge would have when he signed a tax increase. And I think the Obama people don't appreciate that a great deal of President Obama's attractiveness was the sense that he was a young, outsider, idealistic, almost romantic figure, a charismatic leader. And I believe if they don't impose on Pelosi and Reid, and Pelosi was contemptuous today in her comments where she said, well, you know, the president's made many promises. I mean, it was almost contemptible. And I think that it's important for us to recognize, and I hope that the president will recognize, that this is a simple, straightforward promise that he made. Nobody else made it. He's on tape 8 different times promising that these negotiations will be on C-SPAN. And I think he will fundamentally break his word with the American people and suffer permanent damage if he doesn't insist on it.
I don't see how you can't suffer permanent damage. We're going to show that tape, and we'll show the tape that you referred to with Nancy Pelosi. Look at the seats that are available. Who would have thought that New Jersey would go Republican by 4 percentage points, the massive win by Bob McDonnell? I would have thought that could have been a wake-up call. But here's Blanche Lincoln, you've got Evan Bayh, you've got Delaware, New York Senate seat. Barbara Boxer's in a little bit of trouble. If you were to advise the Republicans not only to be against what is obviously an agenda that they oppose, what do they also need to do to recreate perhaps what happened in 1994 when you became Speaker of the House?
You know, it's the key to this, and I have an article to come out of Newsmax in February on this, calling for a new contract with America. The key to this is to be the alternative party, not the opposition party, to explain how you would replace the failed policies, not just to oppose the failed policies. And if you look at Bob McDonnell's campaign, which got 59% of the vote in a state where Obama got 53%, or you look at Chris Christie's campaign, which is a very Democratic state, and he got 4 times the margin that Christie Whitman got back in 1993. I called Governor-elect Christie and asked him about it. He said to me, the combination of opposition to taxes and being for school choice gave him a range. He was for charter schools. He worked with inner city groups. He carried counties no Republican had carried in a generation. When you talk to Bob McDonnell, he'll tell you his positive jobs and energy plan, his willingness to look for oil and gas offshore, his commitment to a no tax increase, jobs-oriented economic program, they made the difference and moved the Republicans into a winning majority. That's the key to 2010. Be the alternative party, not the opposition party.
This will be, I predict, one of the most consequential midterm elections in our lifetime. Mr. Speaker, we'll see you hopefully often throughout the course of the year. Thanks for being with us.
I'll be back.